This is All Roads Lead To with Al and Jayné.
The place where we share and talk about the people, places, and passions
that have impacted us on the road of life. Hello, I'm Al.
Hi, I'm Jayné.
And we're here just to share some of our thoughts, some of the things we've been thinking and feeling and talking about regarding this year's 2020 election. And we are taping this. It's the day after the bridge to 270 has been crossed, and we have Vice President-elect and a President-elect of the United States. And last night, all roads led to Delaware.
Yeah, Delaware made history. We are in a historic moment. This is a watershed moment.
Yes, and part of our history as a couple and as a family actually runs through Delaware. It all started back in Alabama at an HBCU, Oakwood College, that we first met and first started talking. And one of the things that we really started talking about in our first kind of conversations together was politics and current events, things like that. We actually went on a trip to see a presidential candidate there right outside of Birmingham. That was one of our first trips together. So this kind of thing of politics is it's been kind of a orbit for us.
It has. I think back to meeting you, I think one of the things that really attracted me to you was your just grasp of politics and your understanding and your knowledge base. I was just so impressed at your age, your interest, and your just ambition. And so I was just really intrigued. I was like, wow, because for many of our peers, it was boring. It was, these things in history were so long ago, but yet we recognize, and I think you were one of the first people that I felt really had a sense of even where we were positioned in Alabama, that, our every moment and our every movement really was the dream of our ancestors. Like, we were living a dream that many people who had lived in those very same places could never realize, of getting an education, of traveling freely. And you really seem to have a true appreciation for that. And I always admired that, and was really just attracted to your mind, because you've always been just such ahead of your time and always a forward thinker. And so it's amazing to kind of see full circle the places that we've kind of, been. Because in Delaware, who would have thought, that all eyes would be on Delaware yesterday.
Exactly. So fast forward a couple of years, we go to school some more, marry, we become parents of 2 children. We're actually born in Delaware. And last night, when I saw the place where they were having the speeches right at the Chase Center on the riverfront, I know the highway like the back of my hand, exactly, that runs right by there.
Yeah, your friends call you McGraw Hill,
Grand McNally,
because you know how to get. But there's only like one place, one way in and one way out for that area.
So I saw that. I remember just many times just coming up and down that very highway. But I also remember that where the speeches took place last night, right across in that very same parking lot is the Delaware Children's Museum. And that's where we would take our 2 when they were very, very small, and give them a chance to just kind of have an outing, a chance to see other kids, a chance to play and experience other things. And so all those memories came back. So, all roads led to Delaware last night.
Yeah, those were such special times, and it was such a great opportunity for us to expose them. We remember that they were a part of a feature. I think there was like a film crew that came one day just unexpectedly while we were there. We had some really good memories there of them being able to, use all their senses to learn, and it just really reminded me of so much of my early growing up, when my parents didn't really have access to paid admissions for me to learn in different places. But they would take me to the nature center that was local, but the library and the museums, those were the places, particularly when we were living in the DC metro area, the Smithsonian. I remember, being able to go, and we would just spend hours and hours in different museums. We were able to get in, free, and it was just always in exciting time for me to see places and experience things beyond where I was. And I really was excited to be able to do that with our children. But I think another place that we saw that and were able to do that a lot was the library. Yeah. And so last night brought that back to me as well, because I remember, and many times when my textbooks did not include people that looked like me, my parents would give me book reports on the lives of Black folks that have made a difference, who were leaders, who were trendsetters, who were trailblazers. And so I remember reading about Barbara Jordan and Shirley Chisholm. And so when I'm watching now, the first Black woman as vice president-elect, it just really brought all that back, that, where we have come, the shoulders that, we have stood on to get to this moment. And she was really, talking about the possibilities that her candidacy, this win means for little girls, but also for the big girls, the women who for so long, weren't able to see themselves in leaders. And Stacey Abrams really made a point that I think is so true, that it's a privilege to be able to see yourself reflected in leadership.
Yes.
And that's what we have for so many of us who've been marginalized, who've kind of been, supportive. Women have supported. They've been at the table in some cases, but not leading the table. And so this is, the beginning of that. And we're seeing that in national politics for the first time.
And so when you talk about the type of leadership that we have, I just want to make a comment real quick about the type of leader that we have in the president-elect. I don't know if many people caught it last night, but before he started into his formal remarks, he looked out there and he says, "Hey, is that, Senator Carper? Is that, Senator Coons? Is that Ruth Ann Minner?" And Ruth Ann Minner is the former governor of the state of Delaware. And she was the governor during the time when we lived in Delaware. And she is really what you call a retail politician. I mean, really homegrown, homespun. In Delaware, people meant no disrespect, but people called her Ruth Ann.
Yeah, she was like family.
She was just like family. And that is the type of leadership and the type of connection that we're getting in the Oval Office this time around. Somebody who is connected to people in the small towns, who's connected to people who on a first name basis, kind of the Cheers theme song. You want to go where everybody knows your name, and that is Delaware. Delaware, I call it the state that most people just drive through, and the most times that people would spend stopping through Delaware is either at the rest stop or at the toll booth. But Delaware is kind of a unique community all to itself, not different than many other places, but it has its own flavor. But that is the type of leadership that we're getting, the type of leadership that likes to come home, the same way Joe Biden did every day on the train at Amtrak, where he got a chance to know the conductors and know the people who would ride up and down with him. And it's interesting, last evening I pulled out the book, Promise Me Dad, that Joe Biden wrote in 2017. And one of the things that keeps on coming back as a theme, I was just thumbing through some of the pages, is home base, Dad, home base. Wow. That was one of their kind of circling and centering things through all of the trials, through all the tragedy that they had been through. Always think about home base. Always remember that you can come home. And so that's the type of leadership that we are going to experience with this transition.
Wow. Yeah, Delaware has so many treasures. A lot of people know it for the Memorial Bridge, or from, as you're saying, they're going down South 95, or you're going to the beaches. And there's so much, though, within the state itself. And it might not have a lot of electoral votes, might not be that large, but it has such a rich, and so many treasures. I mean, such rich people. I feel like the work ethic. We knew a lot of people who have built their own homes with their hands. It's the kind of place where, you can leave your door open, and it's that type of small town America that often resonate with the South or with the Midwest or maybe another part, but it's tucked in the Mid-Atlantic, so close to DC and to Philadelphia. And yet you have that type of community there. And so that was a great place for our children's early childhood. I think too, though, as you're saying, that experiences, I was listening to a commentator say that experiences, really the collection of experiences is what makes a person. And so when you look at the depth of experiences with President-elect Biden, from his personal losses as well as political losses, and the challenges that he's facing, the resilience that has created, that is something now that we're seeing coming into our politics, and I think that is where trust is built. When people, I think, like you're saying, like former Governor Minner, people are able to see themselves in you, and they feel that you have a connection, that you're in politics to help make the community that you're from better. Yeah. That's what people are looking for, and I think that is something that we're seeing now, for people to be reflecting communities and experiences that look like theirs. I was listening to a friend who was saying, hey, we're going to have a vice president who has a hair regimen, who listens to music that I listen to, who knows who Mary J. Blige is and listens to her music. Those types of things, I think, really are a part of what so many people have not been able to experience when they look at national figures and they look at leadership. And I think it's caused some apathy. They're seeing some disconnect. And so I'm excited for hopefully an engaging, I'm excited that people feel that there's a sense of belonging. Like there's some, part of themselves that they're now seeing reflected in their leadership. And I think that gives us a lot of hope, and I'm grateful for the opportunities that creates.
And it's going to be something to see especially in these early days and in the early weeks, how that same, feeling really transfers out throughout the rest of the country. It's kind of easy for everybody to still kind of retreat back into their corners, and for the people who won to kind of still be kind of high on winning, and the people who lost to kind of still kind of want to be in their corner and either want to come out fighting or talk about all the things that didn't happen or should have happened. But hopefully we'll see a difference, and we'll see a change. Things will be different, I should say, and things will change. It just depends on what and depends on how. But it's just important for all of us to continue to stay engaged, keep on reading, to keep on kind of digging in, to seeing, again, there's still more that we all can do. Because as you said before, we all stand on somebody's shoulders. We all get to where we are because of something else someone else has done. So hopefully we'll continue these conversations, and you'll join us. And until then, I'm Al.
And I'm Jayné.
All right, you take care, and we'll see you soon.
We are so glad to share our podcast with you. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and on social media.
So please listen, share, and tell a friend about All Roads Lead To with Al and Jayné, the place where we talk about the people, the places, and the passions that have impacted us along the road of life.